The views and opinions expressed in this podcast are solely those of the hosts and guests. All individuals mentioned are presumed innocent until proven guilty in a court of law.
Hello, everybody. How you doing? Welcome to Moms for Justice. I'm Carolyn, and this is Jocelyn. How are you, girl?
Good afternoon. How are you?
I'm doing great. It's been crazy weather with tornadoes, and we have a threat tonight, but mostly tomorrow.
Again?
So it's been
I know.
nonstop.
I know. What was the upper Arkansas area that got hit over the weekend? I'm so sorry for all those people.
I know, definitely. And Selmer, Tennessee is like a little southwest of us, and that list got like annihilated. It was like really bad. Yeah. And Arkansas, Lake City, Arkansas, some parts of Missouri. And yeah, it's just been really crazy. But anyway, we got the news today. We've got lots of stuff we're going to talk about today. I'm just going to go ahead and start. So we got breaking news today out of Wisconsin on Taylor Schabusiness. That's her last name. Schabusiness. Anyway, I remember this girl. This is a scary, scary girl. Okay. She was convicted in 2023 for the murder and dismemberment of her boyfriend, Shad Therion. Okay, but today she happened to be at a preliminary hearing for a new battery charge related to an alleged assault on a prison guard, and she literally attacked her attorney, Curtis Julka, right in court. She was quickly subdued by deputies, but I have a small section of it. I'm going to show it to you. Yeah,
she went a little crazy on her lawyer.
Yeah, and this is not the first time that she's gone crazy on her lawyer. I actually have. What I'll do is I'll show you.
What are they saying to her?
I don't know, dude. It's crazy. But yeah. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna play the video first so you guys can see it. Okay. And it's not long at all. But here we go. This is the attack that happened this afternoon.
Custody with Attorney Curtis Julka.
All right, this matter is set for a preliminary hearing today. Mr. Julka, what's the status?
Your Honor, my understanding is we are proceeding.
All right. Mr. Leach?
Your Honor, I'm just checking in on the status of my officer. I expected her to be here, but I'm also having connectivity problems here. I might need to run upstairs and see if she may be upstairs.
It's coming.
Sure.
And Judge, it sounds like just one witness. We're asking for a sequestration, but that may be a moot point.
All right.
It is one witness, Your Honor.
All right.
Well, at least he was quick about it.
And the attorney didn't really flinch. He's just like,
I defend them all the time.
Like, what else? I mean, like, what else can I do? I know the way this woman is, and it's insane. It really is. And it doesn't surprise me at all that this woman is like this, because she attacked her attorney a year ago, I think it was. Let me see. She attacked her attorney back in February 2023. And this is a picture of her attacking her attorney then. Okay. Oh, now we should do an episode on her at one point, but I'm going to give you a little bit of a rundown on what her deal is. So in February 2022, she was consuming, meth, and she strangled her boyfriend. Therion is the last name, Shad Therion, during a sexual encounter, and then sexually assaulted and then dismembered his body. Like really, really bad stuff. She is so evil. It's I can't. She's got to be mentally ill. She was found guilty of first-degree intentional homicide, mutilating a corpse, and third-degree sexual assault. And then she was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. And in March of 2025, she and her attorney decided to drop her appeal, where she went ahead and acknowledged the fairness of the investigation and the trial and that she belongs in jail. But then she was back in there today because she had just assaulted a prison guard, and the prison guard testified. And you can actually go online on YouTube and watch the testimony of the prison guard. But then this incident happened that I just showed you. So that's the deal with Taylor Schabusiness. Her last name cracks me up. It really does.
I know. Well, she must have a short fuse because, I don't know what her boyfriend did or didn't do that put her off. And then, any male around her. Can you imagine being in jail with this woman?
No. I think she's isolated because she is so violent. That's what I'm hearing, is that she's just they keep her away from the general population. And
that's nice to hear.
But I mean, what she did, it doesn't get any worse than that. She's having sex with her boyfriend, and then she assaults him, kills him, and then dismembers the body. It's like
you're at the most vulnerable point when you're having, intercourse or intimacy. You're very vulnerable at that point. So the fact that she switched it to in the mood, in the essence of everything, and then sees red and then kills him, it had to be pretty quick.
Yeah. Pretty crazy, I gotta say.
Yeah,
it's crazy. So anyway, before we continue, hit the sub button, give us some likes and hearts, and stay with us. And I got a big surprise at the end. I got a nice little tidbit at the end, and I've got some other breaking news that's going to be about halfway through. Happened to this it's a teenager in Texas. There was an incident today, so we're going to get to that. But anyway, so on to the next. So Jean-Claude Van Damme accused.
Look at him.
I know. He's the most recognizable, one of the most recognizable celebrities in the world, right?
There he is.
That's what we remember him as.
Yeah.
But seriously,
hello.
Talk about going from action star to a legal controversy, and a really Me Too kind of moment type of controversy, because he's, let me just first say, renowned martial artist and actor. Everybody knows him. Rising to fame in the 80s and early 90s. He became an international action star with films that I remember we grew up on: Bloodsport, Kickboxer, Universal Soldier, lots of great movies, and guys love him, Anyway, throughout his career, he had faced many challenges and had some legal disputes and controversies. Notably, in '97, he, with martial artist Frank Dux, sued him over issues related to the film The Quest. And in '98, he was involved in an altercation with bodyguard Chuck Zito. Additionally, in 2011, he faced criticism for attending an event in Chechnya celebrating the birthday of its president, Ramzan Kadyrov, who has been accused of human rights abuses. Now, why are we even talking about him? Because as of April 4th, and actually the incident really kind of came out 2 days ago, but as of today, I can tell you that he is facing allegations of sex trafficking. And here's the story, okay? So the reports indicate that the Romanian Directorate for Investigating Organized Crime and Terrorism, which is called the DICOT, has filed a criminal complaint against him. He's 64, by the way. He is accused of engaging in sexual relations with 5 Romanian women who were victims of human trafficking. Now, these incidents took place in Cannes during an event organized by himself, by Jean-Claude Van Damme. The women were reportedly presented to him as quote-unquote gifts by Morel Bolia, who's a Romanian businessman and owner of a modeling agency, and is alleged to be the leader of a trafficking network. So attorney Adrian Kukulis representing one of the victims, stated that the women were in a vulnerable state and that Van Damme was aware of their exploitation. And the Dicot's investigation is part of a broader inquiry into human trafficking that began back in 2020. So if the French High Court of I think it's called Cassation, if they authorize it, suspects, including Van Damme, may be summoned to Romania for questioning. So as of now, he has not commented publicly on the allegations. Right. And of course,
which he shouldn't.
No, he shouldn't. And his legal representative has acknowledged that the investigation that has not provided any further statements. And the case is obviously all over the place right now. It's all over TikTok. It's all over YouTube, you name it. So here's the thing that bothers me about this one. It's his part. Like, it was his party. You know what I mean? Like, It was for, well, did he you're trying to say they were gifts. Yeah.
Did he actually have sexual relations with them?
Yes.
Like, did he act? Oh, he did.
Well, he's accused of having sexual relations with 5 Romanian women. Yes, that were victims of human trafficking. Okay. And it was like he ordered them, kind of a thing.
Right.
That's what they're saying. The women,
were gifts. So he's saying that they were gifts.
Right.
They came to him and he didn't pay for them.
Right. Right.
They were willing.
The thing is that they're saying he was aware of it and he was the one who ordered them to be there. Like, call in some hookers. I don't know, however they do it these days. Get me some hookers. Yeah. But so that's the deal with him. And, I think we are going to see so much more of this with these celebrities, these male celebrities that for so many years women have been hush-hush. And it's just been so kind of, taboo to even speak. For the fear of not being believed. A lot of them are female celebrities who have not spoken up all these years because they're also afraid that it'll ruin their careers. They've been told that, oh, you'll never work in this town again, which is a common quote, right?
Right. But I'm sure that's happened, though, to people where they've said something. I mean, I know to go off the wall, but like even what happened to Mel Gibson, he was verbal about his opinions and, he hasn't been in a movie in how long?
I know.
Nobody will touch him. So, I mean, it does happen in the, in the movies.
Tony says, psycho.
We're laughing about. Oh
yeah. Psycho. Anyway, so hit the sub button. Don't forget to hit a subscribe button for us. Okay, so our next one is a big one. We'll probably talk a little longer about it. This is Lori Vallow Daybell. Okay, so there's a lot of developments with her. But let me just introduce you to her in case you don't know her. Most people do. It's a very high profile case. But she's known as the Doomsday Mom. And for very good reason. Her story is full of disturbing turns, religious delusions, and tragic deaths. Over the past 2 days, there has been significant... Right. Yes, very much so. But let me rewind first and just give you some context. So Lori Vallow was convicted in 2023 for the murders of her 2 children, 7-year-old JJ Vallow and 16-year-old Tylee Ryan, whose bodies were found buried in her 5th husband, Chad Daybell's backyard in Rexburg, Idaho. But that's only part of the story, okay? Lori and Chad were both heavily involved in like the end times sort of belief. They started off as Mormons and then their religious beliefs got took another turn.
Veered. Yeah. Veered
Chad was a self-published author who claimed to receive visions from God, and Lori believed she was a divine being and chosen to help lead 144,000 people into the second coming. The two met through circles of Mormons. I think one of her friends said, hey, come on over here. This guy is going to be giving a talk about his book. And that's how they met. And they had described it as like this like intense love at first sight. Yeah.
Right.
So anyway, their relationship then gets pretty deadly. What makes the case even more shocking is that before the children were reported missing. Chad's previous wife, Tammy Daybell, they were married at the time, okay? And then Lori was married to Charles. She died suddenly in October of 2019. It was initially ruled as natural causes, but her death was later reclassified as suspicious. And now Chad is now awaiting trial. I'm getting confused. Lori is now awaiting trial in Idaho. And then Lori and Chad had gotten married just 2 weeks after Tammy's death. Let me show you their pictures.
Isn't that crazy?
Sorry. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so there's JJ Vallow. Yeah. He wasn't her biological son. He was a child of a relative, and then she took right.
So I believe it was her husband's sister's child.
Okay, husband's sister's child, and then Tylee Ryan is her biological daughter, and then that's Tammy Daybell. Okay, this is also a picture of Chad and Lori. Okay, so this is a picture of their wedding day in Hawaii. Meanwhile, their kids were missing at the time. Right. Anyway, so Lori and Chad got married just 2 weeks after Tammy's death. Pretty sick. The timing combined with Lori's children all of a sudden just disappearing, nobody knowing where they are. And she was being followed around in Hawaii by the news saying, where are your kids? Where are your kids? She wouldn't even answer. Like if you're a mother that doesn't know where your kids are, you think you'd answer the question, right?
But I believe she didn't even file them missing.
No,
it was
she
the
didn't.
Grandmother that filed for JJ, and then
that's
they were
right.
Like, well, yeah, that's crazy.
Anyway, sadly, the two kids were found dead later, and then investigators, what they believed that they were they didn't believe, they found the kids in Chad's backyard. But they believe that it was all done for money, religious justification, being both as their motive. And then also, she used to think that people were either light or dark. And if you were dark, she thought you were like a demon or a zombie. She was just really off her rocker, Right. And I think, these, two people that are just have the ability to go there with that kind of thinking, they meet up and they fall in love, and it's just a recipe for disaster. So anyway, Lori is back in court, this time in Arizona, for the death of her fourth husband, Charles Vallow. And there's videos of Charles where he had called the police looking for Lori, and we could do a deep dive into this case, but we don't have time to do the deep dive tonight. But I would definitely like to do a whole episode on this case, because I think it's going to get bigger and bigger with this trial that's going on right now.
You had told me to look into this case because I never heard of it. But as soon as you said Doomsday Mom, I've heard of that.
Oh, you knew right away.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Doomsday. The jury selection was completed on April 1st. Let's see. Maricopa County Superior Court wrapped up on April 1st. And it was very quick. It was only 2 days. Final panel includes 16 jurors, 13 men and 3 women, which I think is going to do well for a guilty verdict, because I just don't think these men are going to fall for this crap.
Right. I agree.
Okay. So then
they wouldn't. I'm surprised they didn't push for more women. Maybe they just couldn't find them.
No,
I don't know.
I would think the defense would have wanted more. So the prosecution's led by Trina Kay, and she outlined their case against Lori, detailing the conspiracy between Lori and her now deceased brother, Alex Cox. And that's another additional thing where Alex Cox is dead now to the brother, and there's suspicion around her killing him. They presented evidence suggesting that Lori and Alex planned the killing to remove Charles from the picture, allowing Lori to pursue her relationship with Chad. And the prosecution highlighted Lori's radical religious beliefs as a motivating factor. And then in true fashion, she decided to represent herself, which is she's not getting along with any attorney she's had. She's fired people. So now she thinks she's smarter than everybody else, and she's going to be the one to do it. And she did get up and she spoke for the potential jurors. And she told them, quote, it is the juror's job to protect her from the state. And then the judge quickly like jumped on that and was like, correcting that is not their actual role, but it's already setting up a nasty tone between the judge and Lori. So I always find it interesting when I see people trying to represent themselves. I mean, Ted Bundy did it. Who else? Sarah Boone didn't, but she almost was forced to. But I just wanted to go over a couple things of why that is so bad to represent yourself.
Oh, yeah. Even if it's the worst defense lawyer, I mean, you can always help him out. If you felt like he wasn't looking or doing enough research, you could still do all that and give it to him.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
But a lot of times the people who pick it is usually people who are like, who, not say type A people, but who just like to be in charge all the time anyway.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They can always do it better.
Well, there are a lot of reasons why no one, and if you're listening to me, you're an earshot of me, do not represent yourself in court if you don't have a law degree. Just don't do it because, number one, lack of knowledge, right?
Yeah.
You don't understand legal procedures. You don't understand the rules of evidence, courtroom protocols, things like that. Also, you don't know how to cross-examine somebody, right?
Right.
There's that. Lack of objectivity. Representing yourself makes it almost impossible to assess your own case fairly, right? You're obviously so biased. You can strain.
A defense lawyer is supposed to be, not to say biased, but he's trying to fight for you anyway.
Yeah.
But I just want to go back to the one point they said, like, so important for you to object when when the prosecution is on the, is questioning what do you call them? Hello?
Questioning the witness?
No, anybody. Oh, right, any witness, right. So it's so important that you're able to get up and defend yourself in the sense of if they're crossing a line, you don't know like the stipulations of when to say object. Like a lot of times when they say I object, you're like, wait, why is he objecting to that? And then when they say, the judge says, either sustained or
right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, and then you wonder yourself, wait, why was that sustained? Like, I wouldn't even know to object it or let alone understand why it was sustained, So
right.
those little things, like how are you going to know when to say that? How are you going to know when to object?
Exactly. I totally agree. And that's just like, years of law school, passing the bar. You need those things. You can't do it without it. Okay, you can strain your relationship with the judge. That is a huge thing for me. How many times these judges, they can't take it. They already have a hard time with these lawyers, right? So you've got somebody up there that doesn't know what they're doing. The judge is going to be biased, against you. You can portray yourself in a wrong light in front of jurors. Right? The jurors will be like, okay, really? This is what I'm out of work for 6 weeks because I got to listen to you who doesn't know what you're talking about, right? So there's that. There's also you can't negotiate. Lack of what? They don't have negotiation skills.
Oh, but you can negotiate.
You can negotiate, but there is an art form of negotiation. I think that's even part of the curriculum to get your law degree is to learn how to negotiate. So that and these are possibilities. These are not dead set.
Because I'm sure, being just being a civilian trying to represent myself, I wouldn't know that I can, say if they offer me 15 years, how was I going to know that I can actually just do 10 with whatever service, whatever,
exactly.
You don't even know what levels there are.
Mm-hmm. Inadequate resources, inadequate investigation skills, and increased sentencing risk. Because again, the judge is not going to like you when you represent yourself. So when you are found guilty, he's going to slap on an extra 10, right? Don't you think?
It's possible.
Yeah, it is possible. So, yeah. So that's, and inappropriate courtroom behavior. They don't know how to be poised and like a lawyer should be, right? And again, all leads to turning off the judge, turning off the jurors. So anyway, so the trial is scheduled for Monday. So I'll be watching that. It should run about 6 weeks. And then with her acting as her own attorney, there's going to be a lot of that's the other thing. It's going to prolong the trial because she's going to be slower. Right?
Right.
She could prolong the trial just by being not swift and knowledgeable, So it's going to be like, okay, lots of sidebars, right? Probably be a ton of sidebars in this one.
Yeah, that's true.
And and it's so rare for a defendant, especially in a case of this magnitude, to represent themselves. Like, how stupid can you be? Like,
I did listen to. Did she already have a semi-trial? Because I did listen to something.
That was from her.
Today.
That was from a year ago. Right. That was from a year ago, and just to familiarize you with a little bit about her. But you said you already knew who the Doomsday Mom was, so.
Right. No,
yeah.
I've heard of that. Is what I'm saying. I never heard of her actual name. But what was that court from? Like,
that was from her trial a year ago, for her kids. Oh. That was an opening statement for when she was on trial, but she's already been convicted of that. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So we're going to move on, but hit the sub button. And then we will, one other thing I wanted to say was, did I want to say something else about her? I don't think so. Wait, maybe I am done. Am I done? I'm done. Okay.
Well, actually, I do want to say real quick,
ahead.
though, she's our age. And actually I did watch a piece on her on Dateline.
Okay.
And she was in a Mrs. pageant.
Some sort of pageant, yeah. Right, I remember.
Like a mom's pageant, whatever.
Okay.
Like a Mrs. pageant.
She was beautiful. She was beautiful.
She really is. And just just seemed very fun loving, like a great person. She seems like she has that that likable ability. And since meeting this guy, Chad, she really did just go off the deep end. It just was,
I think she was probably weird before too. And I think, but you're right. And there is some video footage of her when her brother Alex got shot and she showed up at the scene. And you see her talking outside. It's a beautiful sunny day. It looks like she probably just came home from shopping or the gym or something. And she speaks very well for herself. And then there's the interrogation where her and Tylee were in the room getting questioned about it. And she, again, it seemed like all her marbles were there. But,
right.
She's lost her marbles now. So,
I mean, like she was on her fourth husband. Why not just divorce him? I don't get it. Just divorce him.
Fifth. Isn't it the fifth husband?
Chad's
oh, fifth. Right.
Like, okay. Just divorce him. I don't get it.
It's all about money.
Money. I know she wanted her kids' money, but I don't know.
She got tired. JJ was a handful because he had some special needs. She just was tired of doing it. She didn't want to do it anymore. She was sick of it, and she just wanted to move on with her life. And how'd that work out for you? Didn't work out for you, did it? All right, on to the next one. Okay, so we are going to talk about Jeffrey Epstein's witness, Virginia Giuffre. Okay, she I didn't know this about this girl, but anyway, she breached a restraining order, that she had with her estranged husband. But she also was in this horrible accident. So let me just give you a little bit of context in case anybody doesn't know.
Okay.
She's the woman who accused Jeffrey Epstein and Prince Andrew of sexually abusing her when she was a teenager. She's been a vocal advocate for sex trafficking victims ever since. She reached a legal settlement with Prince Andrew in 2022.
Oh, that's this girl.
Yes.
Interesting. Okay.
Anyway, but she's been in the headlines a lot because it's a lot of legal drama and family stuff with her now. And back in early February 2025, specifically February 2nd. She was accused of breaching a family violence restraining order. And that was in Ocean Reef, Perth, Australia. And it's not just a restraining order. It's a family violence restraining order. So that when I heard that, I was like, what? I was like, so that means she's obviously been accused of assaulting everybody in her family at some point. It's not just one person. So, So anyway, it was filed by her estranged husband, Robert Giuffre. And the backstory about her is that Virginia and Robert, they were married for over 20 years. They met in Thailand in 2002 at a massage school, and then they married right after that. They have 3 kids, and eventually they settled in Australia. Robert works as a martial arts trainer, but recently their marriage just completely fell apart. And they reportedly separated earlier this year. Okay, fine, because people separate all the time, right? But since the separation, Virginia has apparently become estranged from her children, too. And then, she put this out on Instagram on March 22nd, and she wrote, quote, "My beautiful babies have no clue how much I love them, and they're being poisoned with lies. I miss them so very much." So between the separation and the distance from her kids, it sounds like it's a pretty painful time for her. So now back to the restraining order. So Virginia did not enter a plea when she appeared in court on March 14th, and her next court date is set for April 9th. But her team has publicly denied that she did anything wrong and calls the accusations by the estranged husband malicious. So she's, planning to fight the whole thing. But to add another layer of stress, she was in a car crash with a school bus on March 24th. So she initially said that it was a serious crash and even claimed on Instagram, and this was the big bomb that came out. She went out on Instagram saying that she has gone into renal failure and has been told she only has 4 days to live. This is an actual picture of her on the left there. On the right is the picture of her when she was very young with Prince Andrew. So anyway, it's terrifying to hear something like that, but local police are describing the crash as minor, that it wasn't a big deal, this crash. And the bus driver, Ross Munns, said that the whole thing is being blown out of proportion by her. He said there were...
Unless that's makeup.
Well, I don't know. He said there were no serious injuries and was very surprised by the headlines. So within a few weeks, Virginia has had the restraining order charge, public claims of being gravely ill, a car crash, and is clearly dealing with major personal issues within her family. No one knows what the truth is at this point. And, so that's the news. Now, what bothers me about this is that there are more than one person that is saying that the accident was not that big of a deal. There are people out there. I mean, let's consider what she's been through. She's been raped, right? She says allegedly raped, passed around by Ghislaine Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein. Brought her to a house somewhere in the middle of nowhere where they tried to sexually molest her themselves.
An island. Yeah, right.
No, she was on the island too. Was it her sister that she sent to a house? Okay. I just know that they tried to molest her and then they passed her off for Prince Andrew. This is her story, right? And she's come forward in several documentaries about it. What bothers me, though, it's understandable that if you're a confused girl that has been through stuff like that, that maybe there is some shenanigans going on here with her story about this accident. You know what I mean? Like, on top of it all, she lost her husband. He takes the kids away. It sounds to me like there is something going on with her. That's what I'm getting from it. Like, you can't have this much bad luck, girl, and not you having some sort of part in it. I will never be on this show and say that a woman is claiming that she has been trafficked, molested, raped, whatever. I will never sit here and say, that's not true, you're a liar. But
Right.
what I'm saying is when I look at everything as a whole, something doesn't seem right. But I'm just trying to be sensitive to the fact that maybe she really was, and that's where her trauma lies, and then everything after that could be a lie as well.
Well,
Cool.
you know, she's gone through several things in her life
Yeah.
very early on. I mean, she had to be, I mean, because Maxwell, they were, you know, her and whatever girls that she sent out looking for other girls were looking for certain type of girls, right? The girls that were, you know, usually don't come from a good home or
Yep.
who are about on the way out or who don't have support at home. They might have a home, but don't have much support at home. So she probably most likely didn't have a great growing up experience just to begin with.
Right.
Just statistically speaking, I don't know about her particular situation, but you know, I'm sure. How old are her kids? Are they like in their teens? You think?
I don't have their
so
ages.
she how old is she? Do we know how old she is? Like maybe she's
She
probably like
is-
15 years younger. She must be
I
like
think-
40 or
I think she's like our age, personally. I
Oh.
think she's our age.
really?
Yeah.
Oh.
You don't think so? Let's
Okay,
see.
well
Do I
then,
have
so
it
her
down?
kids are, that means her kids are going to be their late teens or 20s, right? So in all reality, let's say she says that that her kids are being told poison. The fact is, if your kids in their 20s, I would hope they have the right mind
No.
to listen to
She's a-
her side of the story.
I don't think they're
know
in their
what?
20s. There's no way they're in their 20s. They're little. Yeah.
Oh, they are
they're-
like in the teen.
Yeah, they're probably, there's just no, I just know they're not in their 20s. They could be like,
Okay.
you know, whatever, 8, 12, somewhere in that range.
Oh, that young?
I
Oh,
think
that's
so.
young.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
So, you know
then,
what?
Yeah, they could be poisoned, but we don't know. I mean,
41.
it could be true, like what she's saying, like that maybe that they were told lies, but I guarantee you, not all of it was lies. So,
Right.
you know, it's all about perception.
Also, if I'm not mistaken, she is the one that also has a sister that was also sexually trafficked and molested by Epstein and Ghislaine.
Okay.
She's responsible for getting her sister the opportunity to go to this house, and she liked painting, I think it was, and they liked her painting, and she went to this house, and this is the little sister. So that's just weird. Like, I mean, I don't know. I think she kind of knew that there was something off about Epstein, and then she sends her sister over there. I don't know. It's weird. We'll do a deep dive on this at some point. This is just a news segment, but I wanted to get that out there, what happened with her. So we will stay tuned and find out how this unfolds. It will be really interesting to find out what happens. So, yeah. Okay. So our next case is Luigi Mangione. You guys know this guy, right?
Yes.
Everybody knows
Yes.
him. All the ladies are swooning over him.
Right.
So Luigi Mangione, his latest updates in the United Healthcare CEO murder case. He's the former Ivy League student. He is accused of shooting Bryan Thompson outside a Manhattan hotel on December 4th. On April 1st, so just a couple days ago, U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi announced that federal prosecutors have been directed to seek the death penalty against Mangione. She describes the act as a premeditated, cold-blooded assassination and emphasized that this decision aligns with President Trump's agenda to combat violent crime. Now, obviously, his attorney, Karen Friedman Agnilfilo, I think is how you say her name, has criticized this move, labeling it as barbaric and accused the government of engaging in premeditated state-sponsored murder. Okay, so really the news about this is really a big, huge debate about how people feel about the death penalty. I mean, that's really what this is about, right? The decision to pursue capital punishment has also sparked discussions about its political implications. I don't want to get political, but I will say that the View co-host Joy Behar Reef, I don't watch The View.
Behar.
Yeah, I don't watch The View,
Behar.
so I can't stand The View and all those women. Can't stand them.
Right.
But anyway, she expressed concerns that this move might lead to a backlash against Republicans. Whatever. The co-host
I
has.
understand.
I
Why would
don't
she say
either. What?
Why would she say that?
Well,
A
the
backlash
co-host
to
had varied
Republicans.
opinions about it, with some questioning the appropriateness of the death penalty in this case, especially considering Mangione's age and lack of prior offenses. I don't know what she meant by that, but that's what she said. While New York State abolishes the death penalty, in 2007, a federal law will still permit it. And this means that even though the crime occurred in New York, federal prosecutors can seek the death penalty under federal jurisdiction instead. So historically, securing a unanimous death sentence from New York jurors has been challenging. But Mangione's case has got, a lot of public relations issues about the death penalty. So I don't know. It all depends what your view is of the death penalty. And I think that everybody's going to be at each other's throats about it. He killed a man, eye for an eye. I don't know.
I think it does go down to per case.
Yeah,
I do.
And how brutal it is and stuff. Like, I have a really hard time when it comes to like little kids and stuff like that. That's usually worse for me.
He didn't see his attacker. It came from behind, so it was a quick death for him. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so let's move on to the next one. We've got Karen Reed. I love picking her pictures. I always pick that. Now I'm not ever going to pick like an absolutely beautiful picture of her anymore because I just had fun with the last one. If you watched our last one, I had this crazy face expression on Karen Reed on her picture, and it was crazy. But okay, so Karen Reed, let's see. Her jury selection started between April 1st and 4th. In Dedham, Massachusetts. Everybody knows this story already. We've got 10 jurors, 5 men and 5 women that are seated. Yep. They're aiming for 16 jurors, including 4 alternates. Appeal to the U.S. Supreme Court was filed on April 3rd. So they filed this petition on Thursday, April 3rd. They're seeking to dismiss 2 of the 3 charges against her. Second-degree murder and leaving the scene of a collision causing injury or death on double jeopardy grounds. The defense is arguing that since the jury in the first trial was only hung on the manslaughter charge, retrying her on the other charges would violate her constitutional rights.
Right.
So it's pending.
No,
I have it as pending.
I heard that they got denied.
Oh, then that must have been today because this says the 3rd. It was pending.
Yeah.
Okay, and then
go ahead. Go ahead. I was just gonna say. I mean, I'm hoping that I got the correct case. I just had the news on and I heard it in the background, kind of thing.
Right. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
There's audit of Canton Police Department that was released April 2nd. So I'm kind of going backwards now. About misconduct in the initial investigation, the audit found no evidence of a cover-up or conspiracy to frame Karen. However, it did highlight certain deficiencies in the department's handling of the case, such as not photographing the scene where John O'Keefe was found.
Right.
Okay, and then
who doesn't? Who moves the body without photo? Without photos.
Yeah.
Just how does that happen?
I know.
How do you even not interview the homeowner?
I know. And how does the homeowner have a zillion cop cars and ambulance EMT on your front lawn and you don't come outside and see what's going on? How about that?
With your bedroom in the front of the house.
Right. Right near
and all the lights, like didn't go through your window.
Wasn't it like isn't there like the window on the corner and his body was like directly in front of it, a little over?
Yeah. It's somewhat like that, but the fact is his body was found in the front of the house, on the front of the house where their bedroom was. So like he was here, the front bedroom window was here.
Right. Yeah.
It was
crazy. Oh gosh. Okay, we all know about the firing of lead investigator Michael Proctor. That was on March 19th. So that was a while ago, but I don't know if we covered that the last time we talked about Karen Reed. Anyway, he was dismissed because of all those revelations of inappropriate, derogatory text messages that he sent about Karen during the investigation. And it obviously raised a lot of questions about his integrity of the investigation. So bye-bye to him.
Right.
And that's it for Karen Read, pretty much. Let us know. Comment below. Hit the subscribe button. Like, share, heart us. We would appreciate it. Yeah.
So I just looked it up about Karen. So it's saying no, Karen Read's double jeopardy appeal to the U.S. Supreme Court has not been approved yet. Her lawyers filed the appeal on April 3rd, and the court has not yet taken up the case.
Okay.
Yeah. So
right.
that didn't go through yet.
Okay. All right. This one's heartbreaking, y'all. This came out today. Breaking news today. This is the tragic loss at Frisco, the Frisco track meet. It's the story of Austin Metcalf. Austin Metcalf is on your left there. So he's 17 years old, high school athlete. He was running in a track meet or attending a track meet today. He was a junior at Memorial High School in Frisco, Texas. I know that area well. He was not only a dedicated student, but a standout athlete, excelling in football, track, and field. He had a very, very strong Christian faith. He often shared messages of hope and perseverance. Just 2 days ago, before this incident, he posts on social media, quote, "Faith that God got me and my work will pay off." So on April 2nd, there was a track and field event at Kai Kendall Stadium in Frisco. Kai Kendall. During the meet, a confrontation occurred between Austin and a 17-year-old named Carmelo Anthony, who you see on the right. He was a student from Frisco Centennial High School, so he was on the opposing team. Okay, so the dispute reportedly, and I'm going to say reportedly because I've got more news I'm going to give you that came out today. Okay, but reportedly, witnesses say that Austin asked start over. They reportedly began over seating arrangements under a team tent during a storm. Okay, so they're all going underneath this tent to get out of the bad weather. And when Austin comes up to Carmelo, asks him to move, there's tensions escalate. And when witnesses say that after a brief exchange, Carmelo retrieves a knife from his backpack and stabs Austin once in the chest, piercing his heart. Carmelo flees the scene but was apprehended shortly after. Upon his arrest, he reportedly admitted to the stabbing, stating, "I did it," and inquired about the legal definition of self-defense. He has been charged with first-degree murder and is currently being held on a $1 million bond. The Metcalf family is obviously devastated. Obviously his dad is describing it as totally senseless, expressing complete disbelief over how a minor argument could lead to such a tragic outcome.
That's terrible.
Questioning the upbringing of this boy and what could lead to such violence, stating, "I'm not trying to judge here," quote, this is a quote, not me saying it, "I'm not trying to judge, but what kind of parents did this child have? What was he taught?" So,
who said that?
That was Metcalf, Mr. Metcalf. So that would be Austin's dad over the whole incident. The Frisco community has rallied around this family. Memorial High School has offered grief counseling to students and staff. If you're listening now, there's that. A vigil was held to honor Austin's memory, drawing a large crowd of mourners. Additionally, a GoFundMe campaign has been launched by Jeff Metcalf, his dad. At the time, it had raised $100,000, but I actually since then have, let me pull it up. I'm going to get it for you. Hold on a second.
Do we know if, did he pass away at the high school or was he at the hospital?
It was pretty,
do you know anything like that?
I'll have more info. I'll have more info about it. Hold on one second, because I have notes that came out today. Okay, so for anyone who's watching right now, there is a GoFundMe. All you have to do is search GoFundMe Austin Metcalf. But look, it's already raised $219,369 already.
Wow.
It was $100,000 as of like a day ago. So, so that's that. But I just wanted to go over one more thing. I saw some notes today that are pretty concerning, and I'm going to read some of them that I quickly typed them up on my phone because I got this literally today. All right, so some witness accounts. The first one is not good. Somebody wrote, Austin Metcalf is not here anymore because he didn't mind his business, and this is what happens to bullies. Metcalf was the aggressor and assaulted Carmelo 2 times before being deleted from the program. I don't know what that means, but anyway. Right. Someone else wrote here and shared pictures. This is so sad all around. Hopefully the truth will come out. Then they wrote, the twin. So I guess Austin has a twin named Hunter Metcalf. The twin, Hunter Metcalf, said on camera that the stabbing occurred after his brother Austin asked the suspect to leave their school's tent at the meet. Why? A terrible shame that a student has died because of this. Why would you ask him to leave? And then I have here, Metcalf's brother says he tried stopping the bleeding before seeing Austin's soul leave his body. Witnesses say Metcalf was sitting under his school's tent. Anthony, which is Carmelo Anthony, came over to them. Austin Metcalf then told Anthony to leave. And then Anthony then grabs his bag, reaches inside, telling Metcalf to touch me and see what happens, according to the police documents. No one was aware that Anthony had a weapon. And one witness says Metcalf touched Anthony, and another says he grabbed Anthony. Anthony immediately pulled a knife out of the backpack and stabbed Metcalf in the chest. And then Anthony then fled the scene. Metcalf grabbed his chest and told his teammates to go get himself help. And he passed away right there in his brother's arms.
Wow.
When Anthony was caught by police, an officer said, quote, I have the alleged suspect, which prompted Anthony to say, I'm not alleged, I did it. So that's the latest I had read about today. It's just so senseless and so, somebody lost their child today over the dumbest thing. Like,
well, it sounds like he was being the aggressor. But regardless, let's say he was being a bully. Let's say he was being a
let's
jerk.
say he was. I don't think he was, but let's say he was.
The fact of somebody. I mean, I think it's totally plausible, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't negate the reason of what your actions. Like get him a different way. You know what I mean? Put a hole in his car's tire or something like that. But kill somebody. I mean, yeah, that's just crazy.
His father would have appreciated for them to brawl it out rather than you kill his kid. Right. I mean, it's just terrible. So
Duke it out.
Duke it out. Like the old school way.
Old,
like they did back in the 80s.
Yeah.
Right. So again, I'm just going to point this out. This family has been through so much. I'm sure they're going to need some help. So if you can just, Google it, GoFundMe, Austin Metcalf, support this family. They've lost their child. It's absolutely horrendous. That's
terrible.
Yeah, really, really, really sad. So hit the sub button, people. Give us a thumbs up and share our page. We do appreciate it. Let me switch.
We're going to have to do an update. We're going to have to do an update on him when he goes to trial to find out what happens.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Find out what's going to happen with them. So, all right. So now, I do want to show you this picture. We're not done about Metcalf and Carmelo.
Okay.
It is Carmelo, right? Did I say Carmelo? Just want to make sure I have his name right.
Carmelo.
Last name is Anthony. The last name is Anthony. Okay. So this is another picture that I found, and these came from like his personal pages, but that gives you a little example. Okay.
Wait.
Those are pictures from his social media on the right. So he's holding a gun in the middle.
Media?
The guy who killed him.
Right, but why is that kid on the other side? He posted this kid on his social media?
Okay, hold up. There's 2 pictures on the right of the guy that stabbed him. This just happens to be 2 of them I have. Right. So I don't understand.
But you're saying that this is posted on his social media. Why would he have the kid he stabbed on his social media?
He doesn't. This is a compilation that I put together of 3 pictures. I put them like
Okay,
that.
so are you saying that this is this guy's social media and this is this guy's social media? Is this both their social medias?
No, these are pictures I got from the internet, and I just happened to put them side by side. That's all.
Okay.
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 I have the picture of Austin on the left, just so you know who the victim is. And then there are 2 pictures that happen to come from the social media of the stabber, the murderer.
Okay.
And I just
Okay.
think that they're very telling about what really happened here, because, you know, you see this time and again, you go to their Instagram page or their TikTok or their Facebook, you see what they're posting, and you can see that they have a violent life. I mean, there he is holding up the that's a semi-automatic, or that's a power rifle, I believe. And then there he is holding the middle finger up at people. And then you got sweet Austin on the left, who's just, you know, a sweet Christian boy. I mean, what are you going to believe, right?
Well, if anything, what that shows me is that this is a kid who looks sweet, but he probably really is a bully. What those people are posting, and this kid looks like he doesn't have like maybe rules at home or guidance at home, but he also looks like he has somebody who has a short temper. So, right? So yeah, I think what happened probably really was what happened. You know,
Yeah.
he actually acted out on having a short temper and erratic emotions on somebody who's just a regular kid who's just bullies. You know, like, not that bullying's okay, but it's innocent in a sense.
Yeah.
Well, for some people, some people it's innocent, but the fact is, it's nothing. It's nothing compared to the violence that this guy is showing.
Right. Well, I think more information is going to come out in the next couple days. But of course, the visiting team that was at the school, you know, are probably friends with him, with Anthony, and are going to support him. And then, everybody for Austin Metcalf they're probably going to support him. So it's like,
Right.
it's going to be hard to know what to believe. So to me, I get more from these pictures than I do anything. You know what I mean? If you look
Well,
at the
I-
Columbine shooters pictures
Right.
before they did
That's what I'm
their
saying.
shooting, yeah.
Rob,
it
what was
just-
Columbine's picture?
Oh, just they made movies. The Columbine shooters made movies. They had drawings about shooting up people, killing people. They wore trench coats and took pictures of themselves with the guns up in the air, just like this guy did. I mean, it just speaks volumes, you know, the way our youth portrays themselves on their social media is just, it speaks volumes. You know, I'm going to lean towards, and it has nothing to do with race, has nothing to do with the color of your skin. It has to do with your behavior. And if you're going to behave that way and show pictures of yourself that way, don't be surprised when people think you probably really were just completely out of your mind and just decided to kill somebody that day. You know, I just don't be surprised by it. That's all I'm saying.
Well, that's what he said. That's what he was saying. He's like, "Go ahead, touch me again. You'll see what happens." But nobody
Right.
knew that he has such a short temper
No.
and short fuse. You know, so
No. And maybe he was
erratic.
like, move out of my seat or whatever. Yeah, that is
Who?
the guy on those 2 pictures.
No, I'm sure that the guy was like, "Go under your own team's tent. Get away from our tent." You know what I mean?
Probably,
Like, they're
maybe.
opposing sides. You know,
Right.
so it's I'm sure it was just a
Yeah.
innocent but legit
Yeah.
rough housing. And I'm sure that's what happened.
Yeah.
But it's bad weather, so who cares? Let them stay there. I mean, there's so many different ways you can look at it.
Agree. But nothing constitutes doing what he did.
Well,
Right.
of course, right.
But I agree with you. There could have been he was maybe trying to be a tough guy, and he was a tough guy with the wrong guy. Right? I
Right.
mean,
Yeah.
but my heart breaks for his family, and he's with Jesus now. So, and he was a Christian and he loved the Lord. So that's good. He's with the Lord now. And I hope that gives the parents some peace,
Right.
Okay.
I
So,
agree.
we are going to move on, to Bryan Kohberger.
Oh,
I
yeah.
do have news on him. All right. Okay. So, Bryan Kohberger.
Bushy eyebrow guy.
Bushy eyebrows. Yeah, they're like caterpillars. This guy.
Yeah, this guy. I feel bad for him.
Okay, so as you know, He's the former criminology PhD student accused of November 2022 murders of 4 University Idaho students. Okay, so on April 3rd, in a significant move, Joshua Hurwitz, the former U.S. attorney for District of Idaho, he has joined the prosecution team as a special deputy.
Wow.
Hurwitz, appointed by former President Biden, stepped down from his federal role in February during the transition to President Trump's administration. His inclusion is expected to bolster the prosecution's efforts in the high-profile case. So there's news there. Did you know that already?
No, I didn't know that.
Okay.
Yeah.
The defense is challenging evidence with digital forensic expert. We're still on April 3rd for that. His defense team has enlisted a Spokane-based digital forensic expert to contest the admissibility of certain text messages from the night of the murders. The defense aims to challenge the prosecution's claims by scrutinizing the validity and context of these messages. And this expert is among 6 experts that they have, including forensic scientists and psychologists. So he will be testifying, highlighting the defense strategy to incorporate expert testimony in disputing that evidence.
I just want to say real quick, though, that this defense that they have, that you're speaking of, supposedly he's been, he was a cop for 20 years. He retired and opened up his own business. And he developed a program to detect cell communication between towers. So it's able to finite like where your cell phone was at certain times, even though it's off by it's able to detect it somehow. Anyway, he's such a legit witness because he also teaches the class. He works with the FBI, the CIA. He works with so many of intel, and legal intel. And he's only ever was on a witness stand for the prosecution. This is the first time he's ever on this subject matter for cell tower and cell phone activity.
Mm-hmm. This is the Spokane-based digital forensic expert I was just talking about. That's who you're referring to, right? Okay, go ahead.
Right. And this is the first time that he'll actually be speaking for a defense side. He's only ever spoken for a prosecution. So his credentials are amazing. And so I'm kind of eager to hear what he has to say.
Wow. Okay.
So they're claiming that the prosecutor is held some kind of evidence in the discovery and didn't tell the defense team, and that's what he's going to speak about, that they knew something and they didn't tell the defense about it. I don't know, something.
Yeah, but he's a prosecution witness. He's a prosecution witness.
No, the defense is claiming that there's a you said it.
Right, the defense. Okay. I got you. I'm sorry.
Right. That's okay.
Okay. Yeah, so he's one of the 6 specialists that the defense has. Okay, I got it. Right. Okay, yeah, that is going to be interesting, and we should if it's really captivating, we can just go on that night and listen to the testemony together again.
Here's the bad part is that because he's always, the fact that he's such a, has such great credentials as a witness and what he does, the fact that he's only ever been on the witness stand for the prosecution, this is the first time he's ever on the stand for the defense. So whatever he has to say is going to be, I think to me is already substantial and believable, that apparently whatever he's going to be speaking about is it's so big that the case can actually be thrown out because of it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So
so I wonder if the jurors are allowed to know that he's normally a expert for prosecution. I don't think so. I think they'll
probably not.
They probably won't let them know that. Well, whenever somebody gets on the stand, they ask you your credentials first, and then you go into all this detail. So yeah.
Right. It doesn't matter. It does that. I think it's so irrelevant for him to say I've only, was ever on the stand for prosecution. It's irrelevant because his credentials are so great anyway. It doesn't really matter. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Okay. Gotcha. Okay. So, crime scene paper. prosecutors are attempting to introduce a 2020 academic paper that was authored by Kohberger on crime scene investigation procedures as evidence. The paper details methods for securing and examining crime scenes and avoiding evidence contamination. Did you know this, that he wrote a paper on this?
No.
So the prosecution...
that is his career. So I'm sure
Yeah.
he's going to have something like, I mean, that's part of his career is, forensics, and you're going to write a paper on it.
Yeah, but
about
when we get to
somebody's
read,
murder.
when we get to read that paper, it might be a bombshell because, there might be
is
a lot
about
of
a knife.
things, a lot of things that he acted out that might have been something he wrote in that paper. Right.
And he does use a knife in that paper. Like the murder in his essay, he does say that person used a knife, and then obviously this was used a knife too. So
yeah, prosecution is
Coincidence.
saying that this will demonstrate knowledge of crime scene protocols. So that would be really pertinent to the case. Okay, and then the defense moves to exclude certain terminology and evidence. We already kind of went over this, but we'll just quickly go over it again in an older live stream. They filed motions to prohibit the use of specific terms during the trial, which include murder. Hello?
yeah,
This is a murder.
and there's
what?
so
Murderer. They don't want him using the word murderer. Murder weapon cannot be used. This is what they're saying. Psychopath and sociopath. Okay. So... yeah, I've never heard of this.
I can understand psychopath. You know what I mean? But you're right. If you murder someone and you are the murderer, like I am claiming that you are the murderer.
Yeah, exactly. But they don't want him going like, some attorneys like Juan Martinez would be like, this murderer did, pointing at him and calling him a murderer. They just don't want that. And of course, we all know the famous, they don't want to use the words bushy eyebrows. But
I get that. I mean, the fact
Right.
is, I would allow them to use it if we're specifically talking about her with testimony, like what she said about the person, the murderer, her first words. But if he was the prosecution and says, we know that this bushy-eyed guy, I can understand that. You know what I mean?
Well,
Then
no,
you're
I
just
know.
name calling him.
It is
But-
literally a description provided by the surviving roommate. You've got to use bushy eyebrows. That's what she said it was, bushy eyebrows. So yes, hello, do you see the defendant over there? He has bushy eyebrows, right? You've got to point
Seriously.
that out. They're not going to win on that. And to limit the number of crime scene photos shown to jurors, I'm
Why?
sorry.
There's so many of them.
They should not be limited. They should be unlimited. These parents lost their kids, and they need to lock up the person. And I don't care how long they have to sit through them. You need to look through the crime scene so you can see the nature, the heinous nature of the
Yes.
crime, because they're not just judging if he's guilty. They're also going to help. Well, they have death penalty. I forgot. Yes, a death penalty
They're
case.
Yeah,
But is it
yeah.
some death penalty cases are determined by juries and some are determined by a judge? I believe this is a jury that will determine it.
Oh, really?
I think so. Additionally, the defense aims to prevent the introduction of Kohberger's Amazon purchase history, which allegedly includes the sheath or the knife and the
Wait,
sheath.
it is or will not? I'm sorry.
It does. They're
Oh, it will.
saying
Okay.
prosecution says they have his shopping history on Amazon, which shows the exact knife.
Right.
Okay. So
Well, I thought they were trying. I thought the defense was trying to get that taken out too. That's why I wasn't sure.
they are. That's what I'm
they're
saying.
trying.
That
Okay.
was that in addition to all those words, they want to get that excluded. So
Right.
pretrial
Okay.
motion hearing again is set for April 9th. The court will address several key issues, including the admissibility of the 911 call that was made on the morning of the murders, and whether an autism spectrum disorder diagnosis could impact Kohberger's eligibility for the death penalty. And the trial is scheduled to commence on August 11th in Boise, Idaho. following a change of venue that was granted due to concerns about a potential bias in the original location. So that is where we're at with Kohberger. Okay. That should pretty much bring us up to date. So yeah, interesting. Very interesting. We're almost done. Okay, so Jocelyn.
Don't forget to like us.
Yes. Subscribe. Thumbs up. Give us some hearts, some likes. Okay, so I'm letting everybody know now. Lynn probably heard of this case, but she's probably going to say, I don't know this case. Because before you've told me you don't know it. But like you said with the Doomsday, once you heard Doomsday, you knew. So you're probably going to be like, oh, I know what this is. Because let me tell you something. This is just as high profile as Jodi Arias and Casey Anthony. Just as much. But my news is on a particular character that is involved in that case. It's not the main family. But anyway, so this is on the Shanann and Chris Watts case, which is the murder of Shanann and her 2 daughters by Chris Watts, her husband. But the news...
He wiped it. He wiped out his. They're saying that he wiped out his whole family.
Yes. Now, if anyone's watching this right now, they're going to be like, "How do you not know that?" But she might not. So give her a break. Chill. Okay. But anyway, the news is I have for you just recently came out, which made me spark to talk about this case a little bit, and that is on Nichole Kessinger. She was the mistress of Chris Watts. Okay, so she was reportedly seen at a funeral recently, but I'm going to put that aside for a second because Lynn's not going to understand any of this if I don't just tell her a little bit about the case, and then I'll go back to it.
Okay.
All right. So the murders happened on August 13th, 2018. Okay, Chris Watts strangled his wife, Shanann. She was a social media, spectacular person. She was selling like these shakes, like these weight loss shakes from Lavelle, I think it's called. And I'm just going to talk from my heart because I know this case pretty well. So they were together and got married. Okay. And she was kind of like the one who wore the pants in the relationship. And he was kind of quiet. You know, he had lost a lot of weight. He used to be very overweight when he was growing up. And then he lost a lot of weight with the help of Shanann, right? And then they had these kids and she wanted this big house and they had money issues and they kind of lived beyond their means. But she just kept spending. And he made a modest income. So, but anyway, she started selling these weight loss shakes and was making money and got a company car. It was like this real fancy company car. But she was only as good as how much she sold. I mean, she would lose that car and so many things if she didn't keep up the sales. And part of it was like the multi-level marketing, right?
Of course.
Where like you, at the time that this was going on, you'd go on Facebook and you would try to get other people to sell Lavelle underneath you. And then that person would try to sell underneath them. So she hustled. And she would wake up in the morning and she was like a very hands-on mom. I thought she was a great mom. There's tons of videos. And I'm telling you, we will do an episode on this because we have to at some point. But anyway, he started drinking the shakes while she was filming. And say, it was like setting up to record all the time their lives. Their lives became like a reality show. And he was just going along and she'd be like, well, this is how I make my money kind of a thing. But secretly deep down inside, he was feeling trapped and feeling like, I don't want to be on Facebook all the time. And I don't want to be on YouTube all the time. And I guess he got lonely.
Totally makes sense.
Yeah. Totally makes sense. He got lonely and he started having an affair with a girl at his job, and her name was Nichole Kessinger. And again, this is Nichole. Okay. And he was sleeping around on her. Well, what happened was, in a nutshell, is he decided to just wipe out his entire family so he could just have a life with this girl. So
again, why not just divorce her?
I know.
I don't understand these people.
I don't know.
Just divorce them. You don't even have to talk to your kids. Just
I know.
Like, what? I mean,
So Chris Watts strangles Shanann at their home in Frederick, Colorado. I actually have a picture of the house. This was the house that they could not afford. They could not afford this house. Okay. No doubt about it. It was like at the time, back in the time that they purchased it was like 400 and something $1,000. He made like 60,000, and then she would bring in another, like, I don't know, maybe
100 probably.
I don't
If
know.
she has
Maybe
a car,
I think
if she got a car from the company, she had to be bringing in over 100,000.
she was gifted the car when she climbed the pyramid, but she also, they kind of owned the car, could take it right back from her very quickly if she didn't make her sales every single month. So, and then he had a company truck that he used. He worked for like some oil company or whatever. So anyway, he strangled Shanann in the home. She got home from one of the Lavelle trips that you take. Like they send you on all these trips with your with these, right? She came home. She was pregnant with her third child. She was very far along. She was showing. She came home. She walked in the house and they went to bed, but they woke up and I guess they had sex, and he rolled over on top of her and he strangled her to death. And then he strategically, one by one, went into each one of his daughter's rooms, brought them out, put them in the back of the truck, loaded dead Shanann in the back seat of the truck on the floor where the kids were sitting, and started driving. Okay, so he starts driving, and he doesn't know where he's going at first. He's just driving. And the kids are in the back. They've got their blankies and stuffed animals and all this other stuff. And they say, "Why is mommy laying on the floor?" And he would just say, "Mommy's fine. Mommy's just tired." He drives to his work site, which is right here. Okay? He buries Shanann right where you see the dirt is, right there on the left. And then he goes back to the truck. He goes back to the truck where the two babies are in the back seat. He grabs the oldest one, I think, first. No, he grabs the youngest one first. He strangles her, okay? Smothers her and strangles her, and then brings her to one of those big oil tanks. He climbs to the top of that oil tank. Let me see. Can you see my cursor?
No, but I can see the oil tank.
Okay. He drops her down this little, there's like a hatch on the very top. He climbs to the top with her. The hatch is a small hole. He had to like squeeze and push her through, and she fell all the way down into the tank where there's oil, and she was in the oil. Then he goes back to his truck where his older daughter is waiting. And he does later claim that she said, Daddy, no. And he strangled her to death. And then he carries her. But here's the sickening part. He doesn't even put them together. He made sure that he put the other one in the second oil tanker. I know they're dead and it doesn't matter. But here's the thing. He knew he had the wherewithal to separate them even in death. Puts her in the second one, shoves her down the hole, leaves and comes home. And thankfully, Shanann had a friend that dropped her off the night before when she came home from that trip, knew that she had a well visit with her OBGYN for her pregnancy the very next morning. So she called her the very next morning. By this point, Chris Watts he went to work and acted like nothing happened. Of course. The friend is calling Shanann and like, why is she picking up? And she also wasn't feeling good on that Lavelle trip as well. So she was aware of that. She was feeling nauseous. And that also Shanann told her that she thought Chris was cheating on her. So her friend gets really worried and calls the police. And because she goes over there and she looks in the garage window there. And I think there's like little windows at the top, right? She her son was with her, hoisted her up. She looked and saw that her car was there. She also looked into the window next to the front door and saw that her shoes were there. She said she always wore those shoes, these raggy slip-ons. She said she never went anywhere without them, and they're still sitting there. So she calls the police, and that is what like screwed up Chris's plan, because Chris wanted a couple days to go by. But what happened was the police called Chris on the phone to get the keypad combination to get into the house. So he had to come home early, and there's a whole video showing it live by a body cam of him coming into the house and acting like I don't know where she is. She probably took the kids here.
Why would he allow them to come through the house if they have no warrant?
Because if he doesn't allow them, it's going to look like he knows something.
But
He's like,
obviously at this point, you can't actually think you're going to get away with it. You better start protecting yourself at that point. You know what I mean?
well, he was trying to just act stupid. She's probably at a friend's house, and he did say, we have had some arguments lately, and maybe she just took the kids and wanted to go here or whatever. But because of her friend, he was cornered, and the police were alerted that early. Okay,
Right.
So anyway,
and it looked like a shallow grave, by the way.
yeah. Oh, yeah, it was very shallow.
Very shallow.
He pretended like he didn't know anything, and he ended up staying with some friends for a couple days. He even went on the news and was like, "Please come home," and all this, and did the whole Susan Smith crap where he's talking into the into the camera. I just hope they come home soon. But it does sound so ingenuine. It's like just like this glaze over his face.
Was the girlfriend in on it, or did she not know about
that? I'm gonna get to that. Well,
okay.
As of now, there's no proof of that, but that there are people still talking about Nichole Kessinger today. So who is she? So okay, so she started dating him because she was working at his job at the corporate building where he would like show up before he'd leave to go out on site to work. Okay. And they began this affair. And she was stalking Shanann on Facebook and YouTube and watching her videos. She was doing Google searches about getting married in white dresses to get married and things like that. She was like literally planning a wedding, it seemed. Right? So it is very very suspicious.
Yeah. Right.
And then Shanann had gone to North Carolina like 2 weeks, I think it was, before her death. She went to North Carolina for 2 weeks to see her parents, and Chris didn't come. And that was what sparked her to think he was cheating and she was sending him messages like, why don't you love me anymore? And how come you never want to have sex with me? And you never want to, be intimate with me.
I was surprised she was probably even pregnant for the third time.
Yeah. And that's the other thing. The whole announcement of her being pregnant, like letting her husband know, hey, I'm pregnant a third time, which they can't afford. And can you imagine the like rush of pressure he felt? She filmed the whole thing and put it all up on. I mean, their entire lives were filmed, and you could see this awkwardness about him when he walks in and she's like, got a shirt on that says, "We did it again," or whatever. And he's like, we did it again, and everything. He walks in, and then he tries to act like he cares and gives her a hug and everything. But you could tell she's like, something's not right. Something's not right with my husband. You could just tell, So when she got back
that's probably why he didn't do a divorce, because he knew it was going to be splashed all over Facebook.
Yeah, right. Absolutely.
Probably didn't want to look like the bad guy. You know what I mean?
Well, he also was a doormat. Okay. I love Shanann, and I hate people that like, there are people out there that are like, Shanann caused all this and she was too hard on him. And did you see the way she treats her kids? Okay. She was a great mom. But I will say she was the typical, that when you see that typical couple where the woman wears the pants, babe, you got to do this. Babe, go to the store. You need to do this. You need to do that. And I think he kind of liked that. I think that's why he married her. I mean, he was like a quieter person. He just didn't, Yeah, but it got to be.
Care. Yeah.
He didn't care. But the kids and the house and the pressure of money and being a quiet, introverted person to begin with, he just couldn't hack it anymore. And I think both families, also his parents and her parents, they had so much like invested in their grandchildren and all. I mean, but why kill your kids? I mean, you could have just handed them over to your mom and dad or her mom and dad. I mean, why would you kill your kids? I mean, you shouldn't kill her either, but how do you kill your kids? I mean, he just literally lost it.
Not only that, he probably just didn't want it displayed all over Facebook that he's leaving his family or he's, leaving his kids. What a terrible dad.
Yeah.
He just wants them to disappear. Like, I don't know what these people think. Well, how do you think it's not going to come out? I don't get it.
I know. When she was in North Carolina, he basically said, I can't go to North Carolina with you. I got to work. But he spent like his days and nights. They went to the sand dunes together. He even had her over at one point. Then they went to this restaurant one night, and then Shanann ended up, she's the type to like sign into her bank account and look and see all his charges. And she was like, what is this $65 charge at a restaurant? What are you buying for $65? That's two people. That's, that's having dinner there. So, okay, so there they are on one of their little trips. There's the bottom picture of her in the bikini is one of the photos she sent. I mean, she is like, Shanann is so beautiful, right? Like, I don't get what he saw in this girl. But anyway, there is a Facebook page dedicated to Nichole Kessinger because there are people out there that think Nichole Kessinger was in on this. Chris had said in the beginning when he was questioned and he admitted everything, he's in jail now for life, totally took, just didn't even go to trial. Like he was like, I did this, and I deserve everything I get.
Wow.
So she had to go incognito because everyone hated her. And because this was such a huge case, because it was all over YouTube, because she had so many followers, people that bought shakes from her, people that were selling shakes for her.
Right.
I mean, she, and people watched her videos. Her videos were fun to watch. I mean, she cooked and she would like show you like her whole life.
She had that likable feeling, I bet.
Oh, yeah.
Likable ability, yeah.
Yeah, we definitely got to do this case. But anyway, the reason why that Nichole Kessinger is in the news today is because somebody finally saw a sighting of her. Okay. She was at it, and the poor girl is like, actually, if she didn't do anything, I feel bad about this because, she's just trying to live a normal life probably now. But it's all over TikTok. It started popping up about her being at this funeral. So I'm going to play it in slow motion because it's super fast. But this is what's getting everybody all up in a row. Roar.
Not for nothing too, real quick.
Yeah.
Even I don't think she was part of. It sounds so random the way he killed her. It didn't sound planned at all. You know what I mean? Like he had sex with her and then it was like, that's it. I got to get rid of her. You know what I mean?
No, there's more to it. I'm not giving you the whole story because we're not doing a deep dive, but I was trying to give you enough for you to be able to. But no, there's more about her that might make you think she was involved. I'm actually very 50-50 about her. Definitely. Okay. So, all right. So this is what everybody's like talking about. This is it. I got it in slow motion. That is her, right, no doubt that's her. It gets a little closer. Oh, that's her. Yeah.
I don't think I can't tell if that's her or not.
Wait, you can't tell that's her?
No.
That is her. All right, hold on. Let me go back.
That's hilarious that people are like jonesing for her. They find her on some random funeral.
That is so her. I'm sorry. That is her. I
can't tell.
You're right. You missed Karen Reed, Mark, but you can always rewind afterwards. Okay. So anyway, so she was seen at a doll funeral chapel in Billings, Montana. Somebody must have had the footage. It was from January 16th, but then they finally released it, or it just went viral recently because I've heard about this all this week. She was attending the funeral service of Jessie Haydahl, which is the mother of her friend Danielle. This appearance marks a rare public sighting of Nichole Kessinger, who's maintained a low profile since her association with Chris Watts. So that's why she's in the news. And I figured let's jump on that and let's go over what the Watts case is about. We actually have a friend that you and I spoke to that got a little upset because she thought we were going to say something bad about Shanann. But we went to high school with her. I won't say any names. We went to a high school with a girl. When we first started our podcast, she was like worried that we were going to like bash Shanann because there's so many Shanann bashers too.
Really? Yeah.
And apparently she's a relative. Shanann's a relative of our high school classmate. Okay. So if she ever watches this, I would never, disgrace Shanann in any way. I'm only going to tell you what I hear or what I see or what I've read. But no, we're not here to bash her. And she's dead, so she can't defend herself. So that's that. So Mark came late. Okay, wait. I have one more One
Well,
more.
Mark can still subscribe.
Oh,
And
yeah.
you'll get your notifications.
Mark. Yeah, seriously, Mark. Really. He's always like, let me know when you're on. All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Subscribe and you'll know.
All right. I got 2 more pictures here. You ready?
Yeah.
2 more pictures of Wade Wilson.
You got new stuff on him?
Melissa Jade,
look at
whoever
him.
Melissa Jade is putting out these pictures of Wade Wilson. So I don't know, maybe she's like one of his women that's talking to him. I have no idea. So there's that one, and then
He's either
there's
gotten too many fights or he got fat. What
I don't
happened?
know. There's this one. He's missing his hair in one section. Anyway, yeah, these are the new pictures of Wade, and
Is that like a ponytail sticking on the other side of his head?
I have no idea, but he's missing his hair. Like,
Yeah, no, but like, see where like the earbud comes in on his left ear? Does that look like hair? Like a ponytail?
looks like I don't know what that is. That's a really good question.
Yeah.
You
He's
know
not
what?
there.
You know what I just realized? That is that's him looking into a computer, and you can see the reflection of somebody on the other side. You can see the arm. Do you see the arm to the right?
Arm to the right.
Maybe it's Melissa Jade.
Where is your cursor? Where's the arm? Show me where that with your cursor. Oh,
Do you see
that's
that?
the arm.
That looks like a hand and a sleeve of somebody's arm. Looking back at him through the reflection of the computer screen, no? I don't know. But I will tell you this. I think guys, when they're in prison, I don't think they care. I think they just all work on each other. They tat each other up. Here, shave my head, bro. Oh, just shave one side. And who's going to care anyway? Right?
Yeah.
I mean, they don't care.
Right.
They're goofing off. They don't have to impress any girls. Well, maybe Wade does. Pretty bad. Pretty bad. And
You know,
then
if
this
he's
one.
really yeah, if he's doing that, that means he really is like not
given up.
caring about. Yeah, he's giving up.
He looks very sickly there, like he has a very bad cold because his nose is very red.
Yeah.
And we know he likes neon yellow earbuds, or that's
Yeah.
all the kind they give you in prison. I don't know. But that's Wade Wilson. So that's your little surprise at the end.
Yeah, you know, his stepfather, or his can you say that word for me?
Adopted?
Adopted father said that, he had a very normal, loving childhood and just a great child, great kid. And then he had that really bad car accident when he was like 19 and
Yeah.
things just changed from that point on.
You do know that
And,
the man that we saw the interview with was actually his biological dad, right? You knew that.
Right.
He was adopted,
Yeah.
but the man that we saw, but did you see footage of an interview with his adopted dad?
No.
You just said his adopted dad.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I know.
He was
I
not
don't know,
adopted
then
by
I'm
that man. That's his real
Not-
dad.
I know that his real dad, but
Okay.
I did hear that he was adopted and that
Yes.
he had a really good, and actually I think it was his biological father that said his growing up was really great. Like that was the best decision they ever made because he grew up in a stable family and a loving family. Actually,
Right.
I think it was his actual father that said, his actual biological father that said that.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. That interview we
Oh.
watched was his biological dad. The one with all the tattoos and the bald head, that's his biological
Right.
dad. And he said in the interview, we loved the people that took him in and that helped him and everything. That they were good to him. So yeah, absolutely.
But it was a car accident. But it was a car accident that changed him.
Yeah. Probably
That's
was put
crazy.
on pain meds and stuff and then had
Yeah.
to got addicted to them, which usually happens a
That
lot. but-
changes. Yeah, that changes you.
Yeah. But
That's really pretty scary.
I know. Okay. We are done. So subscribe, like, and share our channel. We so
Yay.
appreciate you joining us on this lovely Friday night. Pray I don't get any more tornadoes.
Well, that there's no tornadoes anywhere. God, we pray
Right.
for everybody. Right. But
I know.
I hear you.
I know.
So listen, just as a recap, I guess we were gonna do
Jody.
next Monday.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Are we
so
gonna
we'll
do Monday?
Right.
Okay.
We could do
Monday and Friday.
then no, Friday I can't because I'll have it. I'm having that shower. So.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Sounds good. All right.
right.
Hearts, likes,
Thumbs.
Yeah. Tony asked before, where's the sub button? It says subscribe in YouTube underneath the screen. It'll say subscribe. Hit the button. All
It's
right.
so funny. Like we've only been on it for how long, and he's just now subscribing.
He's asking now about subscribing. Yeah. Give us those subscriptions. We love
I'm
it.
sure he's just asking for everybody.
Mark, I demand you hit the subscribe button so you get updates. All right. We
Okay.
will talk to you guys soon. Take care and have a great
Bye.
night. Love you. Bye.
Love you too. Bye.
The views and opinions expressed in this podcast are solely those of the hosts and guests. All individuals mentioned are presumed innocent until proven guilty in a court of law.